What's going on, people? Welcome to the United Stand, welcome to match day. And it is derby day, man. It's derby day, derby evening. Semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, leg 1 against City, and it's going to be a proper tough game. I know we've beaten them at the Etihad last month. Last month, was it December? I think it was. In a very different game, and it's one that we have to win, man. Solskjaer winning a title for him, a trophy for him, I should say, would be massive. I think it would breed confidence. It will, people could say it would cover over a lot of cracks, but it would definitely give the players confidence. It would give Solskjaer confidence, and maybe, trigger the board into doing something great in a transfer window. Who knows? But it's, whatever competition we're in, regardless of where we're at, we don't want to be negative. We want to win every single game, and we want to win every single cup that we're in, and we're in the semi-finals and we're against City, so we've got to go for it. I believe we can do it. I think we can get a draw out today. I've got a feeling it's going to be a draw, but we'll talk about predictions in a minute. Solskjaer saying in his press conference that some players still aren't quite ready yet in terms of illness and stuff like that. The games are coming so fast that there's not a lot of time to recover. He said about the training in between and the lack of, you don't really get time to train. It's all pretty much recovery stuff, maybe a little bit of ball stuff. You're not really going to be working too hard with games coming this quick. So we know he's got to shuffle his pack. The same in the FA Cup against Wolves. He had to shuffle the pack then. So I expect him to shuffle the pack today. It was interesting to hear what he said about Romero, because he was asked if is Romero going to start, and he didn't give it away, but he didn't exactly say, well, David's our number one or anything like that. He didn't even go into that. He just said, I'm not going to give you the team now. So I think it'd be good if Romero could play. I think he should play. Like Adam was saying, it's not even a diss to De Gea, but he done well midweek, kept us in it with a great save in the first half. And did well as the game wore on, and another clean sheet for him. So I'd give him a game today. We've got another Premier League game against Norwich on Saturday at 3 o'clock. So, everyone needs a rest, and keepers might not need the biggest of rest, but it might be nice for De Gea to just freshen himself up. So I would probably go with Romero. And the back four is going to be interesting, because Brandon Williams, we saw, he had a positive game against Wolves. Yeah, he wasn't out of this world, but he was steady. He was very good. I'd like to see him again. Like I said, the Norwich game is coming up round the corner, so Luke Shaw can play then if that's his favourite. And Ashley Young did well at right back as well, but I think Wan-Bissaka will come into this having been rested against Wolves. So we want to see a strong team. Hopefully Maguire has shaken off his knock as well. I know he has trained. But hopefully he's shaken that off, because central defenders is something that we're not blessed with at the moment in that area. So we can't really afford an injury to Lindelof or Maguire. So hopefully those two are unscathed. Then we're going to have to rely on Phil Jones otherwise, because Tuanzebe's not ready, and Eric Bailly's only just coming back, and Rojo's still injured. Delot's obviously free, so maybe he might start on that right hand side. You never know. Could Solskjaer mix up the pack and give Diogo Dalot a start? You never know. For me, James, it's a difficult one. I my feelings. I think Greenwood has been knocking on the door enough to get more starts in the Premier League. I'm not saying he should start every game and James should be on the bench every single game. It's different horses for different courses, but I just like the imagination of Greenwood. Not only is he deadly in front of goal and he shoots on sight, I just like the variation of his game. He can come short, he can link the play, he bounces it off, one touch, he spins, he can come off from the wing into central areas and hit it. It just gives a different dimension which is very direct, which is what Dan James gives us. That could be, brilliant against City, maybe in the latter stages. One thing that does worry me about this game is the fact that I saw Pep's pre-match interview and his press conference, and he was sort of saying that, he knew that United would be fast and devastating on the counter-attack because we've got players to do it. But this is Pep Guardiola. He's a very meticulous manager. Is he going to go and approach the game in exactly the same way they did at the Etihad? I can't see that happening. Yes, it's not in City's current DNA to just sit off and play counter-attacking football themselves. But what is this truck doing? I'm just going to go past it. It's not in his DNA to do that. But I do believe that they might say, right, let's not be as expansive against Man United. We know that's their strength. Let's not leave as much space in behind. Let's maybe play a little bit deeper. Let's stop that gap. between the keeper and the defence, or the defence and the midfield. Let's kind of sit off them a little bit and ask questions, because that's when United are at their weakest. So I think Pep will have a different game plan. It's different doing it, to spring on them and be all over them in that first half, as we was at the Etihad, and get the result and see it out, which was brilliant. 2-0 at half time, which was fantastic. But I don't know, would they make the same mistake twice and be that naive? I think Pep will have a tactical solution for that. It's whether or not Oli does, and that's something tactically, and especially in-game management, reacting to things as they go on. That's something that I think needs improving from Solskjaer, and the coaches as well, McKenna and Phelan and Carrick. So hopefully we see a reaction in-game and have a bit of a plan before the game, which is not really something we've been used to seeing while Ollie's kind of learning on the job. So Miles, big game, derby game. Form always goes out the window in these games, like it did when we played them at the Etihad. No one thought we'd win, or very few people did. Can the Lightning strike twice, get a result against them, considering it will only be half time? It's 2 legs.
I mean, I'm not so sure about Lightning striking twice, but especially because I think Pep will have learned his lesson, and I think he won't approach the game anywhere near the same way he did last month. So with that in mind, I think Oli does have to kind of switch things up a little bit and think a bit more creatively, rather than just thinking we're going to sit back, let them have the ball and just counter. I do think though that today that might be the only thing we can do, because I feel like City are going to be so much stronger than they were last month, and I think they're just going to have a bit too much for us to handle. So our only option might just be to do our plan A, which is to sit back and counter. We might be forced into that.
Which is our default style of play. Anyway.
It is our default style of play. We don't have anything else against the bigger teams. The only hope is that it has worked so far against most of the big teams. And it being a cup game, you don't know kind of how strong City are going to be, how strong a team they'll put out, even though I do think they'll put out the strongest team. But I just think because it's a cup game, because it's completely different, it's not the Premier League, anything can happen. But at the same time, Pep will have learned his lesson, and he will have coached his players on how not to just let us counter, basically, because you can't give us the room to counter, because we will kill you every time. It's just that when we have to break a team down, then we're not that strong. But I also don't think City are just going to let us have the ball for us to break them down. I just don't see the game going like that. So if we let City have the ball and they want to have the ball, then we do have a chance to win this game. But they might just have enough to just pick that lock every time and maybe outscore us. So it could even be a high-scoring game. You never know.
Which is not what we need, because going there, we want to obviously keep a clean sheet, nick one, maybe a 1-0 or a 2-0. Clean sheet's really vital today, isn't it? To have something in our back pocket to at least hang on to going there. Yeah,
and this is where I think Ollie's tactical nous has to come into it. He really has to think differently, other than plan A, counter-attack. He really has to think about how he can get his players to attack creatively, and also get his defenders to be able to hold out, and not concede a lot of goals. Like you're saying about Romero as well. I actually would like to see him playing goal today. I think every time he's been called upon, he's been great. He is literally the best number 2 I know of.
He is brilliant.
And he has put in some good performances every time he's played. A good couple of saves in the FA Cup game that we played against Wolves. So I say bring him in, give De Gea a rest. He's had a lot of games, a lot of spotlight's been on him as well. So it's a 50-50, man.
It is, and it's one of them. When we played them at the Etihad, we had Matic and McTominay and Fred, with Lingard just ahead. I mean, we saw Andreas play next to Matic against Wolves, with Mata in the 10. What would you do? Would you bring back Jesse into this? He spoke about Jesse, about making him be less influential on social media, or less frequent on there. Wants him to get back to the Jesse that he knows, etc. Would you play him in this game? We tried to play him against Arsenal. It didn't quite work out, but would you play him? Would you play Mata? Would you play Andreas in a 10?
Yeah, I personally wouldn't play Lingard, only because, like Ollie said, he's cutting down the social media. He's trying to get him back to the Lingard that he was. So, and I think that Lingard project is a longer project in terms of getting him back to where he was. So with that being said, I don't think he's been on form, but I think Andreas Pereira needs to come back in the 10 position. I love Juan Mata. I think people know that I love Juan Mata, but
this game?
No, I just think even though he can pick a pass out really well, I just think he is quite slow. And when he gets the ball, he's not able to run and be as mobile as Andres Pereira is. And I think in a game like this, out of Andres Pereira and Jesse Lingard, I'll take Pereira just because he is as mobile as Jesse, and I feel like he has just a little bit more to offer.
Yeah, because even he has his own limitations,
he has his own
final
faults,
ball and stuff like that. But I see what you're saying. Maybe a little bit more silky on the ball, or maybe has that little edge at the moment because but it's not, like I said, not much in it really, which is quite bad. Which is quite bad, but crying out for someone in that position, really, aren't we?
Yeah.
And what, Greenwood, Martial, Rashford for you, or would you change that? Would you put Dan James in from the start? Would you?
I wouldn't put Dan James in just because I think we need to remember that he was bought from Swansea to be someone who was going to develop in this team. So having to chuck him into these big games for me isn't the one. Like I feel like we should be able to depend on our other players, and where you've got Greenwood, who is good, is a good battle for him in that position. I think Greenwood should definitely be given the run out, especially as his form has been so good. He has a great eye for goal, inside and outside the box, a bit of a poacher. So I think his characteristics will suit this game a bit more, rather than Dan James just kind of running at people, collecting fouls, not being strong enough on the ball. He is still a kid and he's learning, and I really like what he's done for us so far. But I think in this kind of game, you throw Greenwood in there. If you give him the ball in a difficult position or in a good one, I'd back him over Dan James.
And it's a weird one because I know some of you, let us know whether you disagree or not. Should James start over Greenwood? A lot of people at home will probably be thinking, actually, our best bet against City is counter, is being quick on the break. We did it well against them at the Etihad, and Daniel James was part of that, to be fair to him. Do we maybe look at it and go, actually, maybe we should play him? I don't know. It's kind of in two minds. Obviously, whichever decision's made, we'll be happy and we'll go for it. But it's just a discussion point for you guys at home, really. Right, give me a scoreline prediction.
I think Ollie will pull something out of the bag in terms of knowing that, like he said in his press conference, knowing that it's a two-leg thing. I think he'll be smart and try and play for the draw.
Okay. Or just set up not to lose.
Kind of set up not to lose. I don't think we really have enough to go there and really get a convincing win. So with that in mind, I think we should be able to get a draw. I think he wants to have something to take back to their stadium.
I think that's key. If we go there 1-0, if we go there in a losing position, call me pessimistic. Yeah. I think it's over. I can't see us going there 1-0 down, 2-0 down, and doing it. I know 2-1's a bit different, but I don't know. I just can't see that. I think if we're going to get this done over 2 legs, we either need to be 0-0 and try and nick it there. And away goals, I think, comes into it. Or be up and have something to hold on to. Then maybe nick one and then be up by 2. So for me, I've got a feeling it's going to be a draw again. I know I said that against Wolves. I just got that feeling. I don't have the feeling that we're gonna win. I don't have it. But I don't have the feeling we're gonna lose. So I'm gonna go for a draw. I'm gonna go a score draw though. I'm gonna go a score draw. I don't think it'll be 0-0. There'll be at least a goal in this, a couple of goals in this. I think. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Drop your views in the comments, in the boxes below. Let us know your predicted lineups. Who you would go with. The Dan James Greenwood debate, the Romero De Gea debate. Let us know what you're thinking, and are we going to win this game? We'll see you at the fan camps, hopefully, with something to take to the Etihad in 3 weeks. Peace. Big thank you to you guys for watching the latest of our videos, and if you want to check out more, make sure you do that just to the right of me. We are the biggest and best Manchester United channel in the world. Make sure you check us out on all of the socials as well: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. The socials are along the bottom. Peace.